minutes. So, Mark.
So, hello.
Hi.
So select board update, I think at this point is that we are targeting the June 18th meeting for recalc to be presenting the recommendation to the board, which the plan is to be done in concert with the council. What needs to happen first is that a meeting I thought was just about to take place, which didn't, is permanent building committee is going to be discussing the plans. They have been sent all of the documents that we have been using, the plans, the criteria, all that activity, some cost detail, kind of all the stuff. And then they want to review it through their process. They typically would not be doing it at this stage. Things are all atypical. Typically, there's already a site. There isn't a site. Typically, to do a feasibility study, you have to go to town meeting, but we have money already allocated for that. So this is a little different in terms of what's going on. However, I did talk with the chair and he agreed that it makes sense for them to weigh in before a recommendation is made. So that they can review it, they can walk the sites, they can see what's going on, and then share any thoughts, insights that they may have. So that's the plan. They're gonna do it over 2 meetings. The first one is gonna be Wednesday night, and the second one ideally is gonna be on or before the 10th of June, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah, plus or minus.
Yeah.
That kind of date, which would leave time for kind of a final recommendation to come from recalc to build that as a presentation to the select board. In the meantime, recalc is building a presentation that is an accumulation of all the stuff that's been done. And it will have almost everything except it won't have the final recommendation until we hear back from the PBC. And I don't know what they'll have to say, but I think it's important that we're kind of using the town resources and the experts that can really help us. So that's kind of the plan. And we were gonna go to the select board the next meeting, which is May 21st, but we're slowing that down to June 18th so that we can have this PBC review. The other thing that will happen is the select board will be discussing forming a building committee for this project. So if you look to the school project, the Killam School project, they have a building committee that's formed. It consists of all of the permanent building committee members, plus I believe 2 people that are kind of the stakeholders in the process. So I think it's the chair, a member of the school committee, and I think maybe a member of the select board, I think is what it is. In any event, it's a 1 to 2 additional people that would be
And
working
then
with
they have a
them.
whole bunch of other people that are not voting members.
Yeah, you can have as many as you want as non-voting members,
Yeah.
but it's the voting members that kind of take it from there. And with recalc sunsetting, this would be the group that's driving the building aspects of things. And then the town will have to figure out how we're driving the other activities. And then part of that is the town. And, Matt obviously be very involved as town manager, Jenna, Chris. And then they'll need to be private citizens, as in non-staff. When it gets to the point of proposing, advocating. That won't be town officials per se advocating. That will be the community advocating, community members advocating. And we all can do that as community members, except for you.
Understood. Where does the Council on Aging factor into everything that's going to go on up to June 18th? You were saying recalc and Council on Aging will, but I didn't hear us.
So I'm assuming that you guys will probably want to look at the document that recalc is putting together as kind of their final presentation.
Mhm.
I think that you folks will want to vote on the recommended site. And the vision obviously would be that we, recalc, council, whatever else we want, are all together on, here's what we want to do for a site.
It's a good vision.
Let's go.
That's why I'm trying to figure out how do we get on
Absolutely.
the train?
Yeah, no, I think.
And plus, when do we get,
Presentation, and we'll-
right, and when do we get the information that's coming from the permanent building committee?
So their second meeting. So the first meeting is the 15th of May, and then the second meeting they need to schedule.
And
Which will be ahead of their.
should COA be at both of those meetings?
So
Recalc going to be at those meetings?
not formally, I'm hoping to be there. Jenna is definitely going to be there.
Okay,
We offered to have BHNA come to that meeting and they felt they did not need them to be there, that they have enough information for what they're going to do.
okay.
So, and again, this is about site from a construction point of view.
I think COAs decide that, someone will. And.
I think someone sounds great.
Be in the-
Yeah, I would suggest you don't. have
Okay,
a-
but we don't need joint meetings. Okay.
What about the presentation? We saw the presentation that Jenna put together that you all are revising and changing a bit. So will we be able to see the draft presentation prior to it going out? Because in order for us to buy in, we need to see that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that that's reasonable. I think that we need to stay focused that this is site
Mm-hmm.
and that this is going to be Recalc's final presentation. So it is Recalc's presentation. And so it has to be kind of all the materials, all the activities, the summaries and discussions that have taken place. In addition to site, it's kind of everything coming together and saying, okay, with this, that's what leads us to say this is the site to go to. And select board, you gave us other tasks like programming, like financing, like transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we found on those. So summarizing the visits, John Sasso is going to put together kind of the latest update of all the visits that we did and notes that were taken and comments that come from that.
Good.
And I'm sitting with John O'Neill soon. I don't know if it's tomorrow or not.
Okay.
Soon, this week, I think.
When's the next recalc meeting? Do you have?
Yeah, we did make one, May 20 something. If that helps.
Second.
Hang on, just a
It's all right.
search.
You'll find it on the phone faster than
March, April, May 29th. Wednesday, May 29th,
Okay.
6:30.
and that's when the COA or members of the senior center going to Guncoat.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we'll be back before, I think the bus comes back at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
All right,
So you guys can have a sandwich waiting for you.
bring it over. That sounds good.
And is that's then Recalc is technically meeting on June 18th as well, right?
We'll
Or
definitely,
June 10th.
there'll be another meeting before,
Okay.
probably after the 10th and before the 18th.
Okay,
I think once
Okay.
EBC establishes their next meeting.
Okay.
Allows us to schedule.
okay. So is there a PBC meeting tomorrow night or Wednesday night?
I thought it was tonight.
It is
Wednesday.
Wednesday night. Okay,
Wednesday at 6.
okay.
I clicked on the 15th or
Peanut
something.
butter and chocolate.
Reese's.
Ooh, I don't like those.
All right, any other questions? Actually, I do have one more question. I know you have to go.
Yep.
John and I were talking about it earlier, but I'm gonna ask this question since Mark is here. At that recalc meeting, you talked about additional testing that might happen at Simon's Way before a decision is made. And when you mentioned that, you also mentioned that it would cost under $10,000. And you mentioned something about it coming out of the ARPA funds. But that's not definite, right? Because
Nothing is definite there. So
we haven't.
the notion
talked about that.
is, and PBC will be able to help on this also. What would make sense to do and at what time? But if there were going to be any opportunity to do something in the before site selection, I don't know if that's when it makes sense to do or not.
Mhm.
We're getting advice. And the other question would be how to pay for it.
Yeah,
And the only option other than going to town meeting would be to potentially could be to use some ARPA funds and
What about
checking from a
free
legal
cash?
point of view.
how does,
Can't, town meeting is the only one that can touch that. We can't.
What about emergency? If there's no other avenue, what if there's unexpected expenses? What if all of a sudden the PSC's boiler blows up and it has to be replaced immediately? How does the
There are
town-
temporary funds to do that, but they
Okay.
have to be backfilled by town meeting.
Could we?
So you'd
use-
have to call a special town meeting in order to get that boiler replaced?
No, we'd use these temporary emergency funds, basically.
And then when you go to town meeting in November, you'd say, you'd kind of get the approval afterwards.
You kind of get a backfill of funds.
Replacement.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
but I would,
so it is possible.
so
You gotta.
I will share my opinion, which I have. That's not what I would propose. I would not propose doing it that way. If there was gonna be a movement to get this done, I would look into, is there a way to find some ARPA funds, TBD? Possibly from what we have or possibly from what we don't have.
Will you put the ARPA funds back to be used by activities? Would you put the ARPA funds back from the
Yeah,
ARPA funds?
That's what he's talking about.
In that case, I probably would not.
Oh, then I wouldn't back that.
Is there also a possibility to split it with like the recreation revolving fund in ARPA? So there was a good compromise and some of the land could be used towards pickleball or like there's some
Yeah,
Yeah,
different interests.
yeah, I think to the extent that there are multiple groups that have interest, the town has interest, but there are multiple audiences that would be involved, that there may be ways to do that. But I think that the first question is there value in doing this now? Would it make sense? I think that before anything is built there, it certainly is required. However, that said, the town engineer is digging back and potentially there is some data from earlier, some testing that was done earlier, like maybe around when Burbank was built or maybe when the fields were done, maybe. So we're seeing what's there first before we do anything else.
Well, Western and Sampson did some testing there, didn't they?
They did, but they didn't do intrusive testing.
Right.
They kind of took a look at the air on the surface more or less,
So where this is going to be going
into the ground.
into the ground deep. Now, I personally think now would be the time to do it.
Let's see what's involved. It certainly has to happen.
Yeah.
Question is when.
And it's gonna
How
happen
does it work?
some year, some decade anyway, so why?
If anything's gonna happen there, it has to happen, right?
And
Have to be addressed.
Wouldn't it be a possibility since, under 10 grand is relatively small change in the big picture of where we are in this feasibility study and my understanding of the feasibility contract is that it's up to $250,000, but not all committed. Wouldn't there be a possibility to build it into, because this strikes me as part of feasibility. Is the soil feasible or isn't it?
We can ask, but
Okay,
we have to decide where this process starts and stops.
Yeah.
And what about the other locations? Do you want to do the same thing at other locations too, or not the same thing necessarily, but is there another step for each of them? I think we need to understand what those steps are.
Yeah.
And from the professionals, have them tell us, here's when you would do that.
that's
If they
right.
say you do this one before you pick a site and you do that one after you pick a site.
Right, but
That
we're,
would be really helpful.
right, but we're with BH&A all the way through designing the layouts and everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So site is just
Yeah.
a
So
step, but there's still plenty after. Anyway, I'm just throwing it out as,
allocated funds to do that in their proposal.
right, but again,
It's not to say that they couldn't.
right, and
do
again,
Less of X.
but the wording of the contract, as I read it, was that it's up to that amount, that it wasn't all penny for penny plotted out.
I actually think that their bid was to the penny.
Okay. The bid might have been, but what the contract said was up to, is my understanding. But anyway, it's small change in the big picture.
Yeah.
It's not small change, but in the big picture
And
it
it's
is.
worth
Yes,
checking.
exactly.
All those points. So-
Exactly.
But there's no
If-
date
if it
established yet,
does
and I
say
think
that.
PVC can be helpful with some guidance on this.
Yeah.
But let's see what the town already has
Mhm.
also.
What is it that makes you think you can do testing for 10,000 and under?
We have a proposal
You have it from whom?
from a firm that was actually recommended that does this.
You know
recommended by
what, where it
BHA.
is?
Can find, yeah, we know who it is. I don't know
Yeah.
what their name is, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Barton and Wilcox, I think it is.
Oh,
Barton and Wilcox.
there must be no, okay.
It's one of the recommended vendors from BH Plus.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You hadn't given the name, but you had mentioned that before. Okay.
Yeah, so we know what I think it would entail. Now it's just understanding a few pieces around it, and do we already have data or not? And if we already do, it wouldn't be any reason to do it, but if we don't, and we talk about timing and how to get it done, and is there a way to get it done? If we decide we want it done quickly and before, then we would need to figure out a way to get it done quickly and before.
Which basically means funding, where you're gonna get the funds from. And I certainly hope it's not from ARPA funds that are being spent on people who attend the center for all the activities. That people keep nibbling at that fund.
I am on my way out the door. I apologize. I have to get to the badge pinning ceremony, which starts in 10 minutes.
Are you becoming an Eagle Scout?
No.
Thank you,
Others are being pinned.
thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
See you, folks.
I am almost positive it would cost more than 10,000.
I was thinking around 25,000.
Oh, no.
All right, so let's,
I was somewhat in the field and I know an expert in the field. And the expert in the field says, nah, 10,000 isn't gonna do it.
Well, it depends on what type of testing they do too, though.
All right, this is all speculation.
can we,
Yeah, we have the.
I have some information from Karen Herrick
Okay,
to report.
all right.
She met with the FinCom Planning Committee today to talk about the spring forums, the spring financial forums. And at that meeting was Tom Wise, School Committee, Jane Wellman, Karen Herrick, Ed Tompkins, that is the chair of FinCom. I get him
Oh,
now and
That's Ed Ross
Ross, okay. I get him and the other one,
from Permanent Building,
yeah,
Pete Tompkins.
yeah. The town manager was there, Sharon A. was not there. But it looks like May 28th is confirmed, or it's like this much confirmed. It's almost 100% confirmed. Nothing has gone out about it yet. As Karen explained, what they talked about today was that because we do not have any final figures, and because our figures are so rough and fuzzy, we are not going to be able to get down to the level of saying it's going to cost you this X number of dollars. We can say this is coming off. We can say here's what Killam is projected at. Here's what the senior center is projected at, and here's what the CPA is projected at, but you can't really factor numbers off those. So it's really it's going to be a starting point meeting, and there most likely will have to be several more. And from our perspective, this is really good, because what it does is it gets the community senior center up on the same level, hopefully, as the Killam and the Community Preservation Act. So that discussions can be started. So that's most likely what it's going to be. Not certain how it's going to be organized, but she said it's so hard to have the conversation because they all want to jump. Everybody wants to jump right into the weeds, and we can't. And there's a deadline coming up for Killam to submit whatever they submit. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's in order to see if they're going to be eligible for funding. Yeah, and there is a Killam building committee, and I encourage all the COA members to go out and take a look at it. It has good information on it. And there might be something that catches people's eyes and say, you know, why are we doing pre-K when pre-K wasn't even part of this? Why do we want an oversized gym when it's an elementary school? So there might be other things that catch people's eyes. And it's a collaborative team building process. So it's not just Killam, it's also the other two projects. So I'm pleased with that. Also, along the same lines as Killam, May 20th at the Senior Center from 4 to 5, Killam is going to be there doing a informational meeting. I think it's just the school committee that's gonna be there. They are not bringing with them architects and, you know, kind of like what we did. But there are some, if you go out to the Killam Building Committee website, they do have some presentations out there. So it might be worth your while, you know, if you're sitting there doing nothing, to watch some of them. So,
Curious, are the kids gonna stay in that school and are they like building next to it or we don't know, or is it like us that have to be shipped to other schools and then brought back? Or they're gonna do it all in summertime, or we don't
I
know.
have to tell you,
Okay.
I don't know because I haven't had a free minute to look at those
I
videos.
understand. I
but-
know Stoneham's been building a new high school and they seem to have done them in tandem in this giant high school's up on the hill now.
I think the last I heard it was they were gonna stay in the school and build it behind them or
Okay.
something like that, but I don't know 100% either.
Yeah,
So
so
interesting.
that's some of the things that I'm probably are in there.
I would hope.
And if they don't cover it on the 20th, it's a good question to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure it's come up and they must
Yeah.
have something in mind.
So mark your calendars, it's at the PSC on May 20th from 4 to 5. Mark talked about the new dates for the recalc. Mark touched upon the permanent building committee, Pat Tompkins. No, we don't have to be at those meetings, but from what I can see, the permanent building committees are not recorded.
Mm.
So we can't go back and watch them. So I think it makes sense for us to monitor those meetings and see what, not monitor, but for us to attend those meetings and see what comes out of it.
Could we ask to get them recorded?
Well, you mean US?
Well, somebody, whoever normally contacts RCTV.
No,
No. All right.
It would have to probably be someone from the permanent building committee. We're not members of the permanent building
Right.
committee. So unless you wanna go and do it, but I would say no.
Okay.
And the other thing that Karen and I talked about in regards to the permanent building committee, I mean, Mark kind of alluded to, it's the permanent building committee members plus maybe 2 additional. But Killam has a large number of people that are involved in that permanent building committee. So one of the things I want to do is take a look at how the state sets up the permanent building committee. I mean, that's a good model for us to use if the town doesn't have a model. And I don't think it does, so
Sounds good.
I'm gonna be looking into that. So those are the 2, that's Karen and Mark. And let's go back and approve the minutes. There were 4 minutes that were sent out to everybody. April 16th, April 24th, May 6th, and May 13th. Does anybody have any edits to any of those meetings?
I didn't print out the meeting minutes.
I've got my set
Oh, okay, you got them. Good.
with one set. What's the other one's in here somewhere?
If you go back
You
to,
just said May 13th, when it's, today's May 13th.
oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm starting to say, wait a minute, I can read those.
I've got April 16th. Oh, here, no,
April 23rd,
that's the one I'm missing.
5/6.
No, April 24th,
April
16th,
24th.
24th,
My writing.
May 6th. And that's just three.
Oh, okay.
Or is that it? Or just three?
Just those three.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so does anybody have any comments on those three? If not,
I make a motion, we approve all 3 minutes.
Second,
second, let's take a vote. How many agreed to approve? Joe Coco? Oh, she's on mute. You're on mute, Ms. Coco.
Joan.
yes.
I knew
Okay,
you were gonna say yes. Karen, Karen P,
Yes.
Marilyn.
yes.
And John Parsons. And Rosemarie. I can vote because you appointed me. Yes. And Jean Prado.
Yes.
All right, so the minutes are accepted. Woo-hoo. Select board update minutes. And so the next item on the agenda is a recalc liaison update.
Well, I had about 5 things here on my notes that I was gonna talk about, and Mark, Mark, now talked about all 5 of them, so they really didn't much to say. The only little thing, recalcs, the sunset in June, it was supposed to sunset a while ago, and now they're talking about extending it a couple of more months again. So I don't know how many times they're gonna keep doing a couple more months, but that's just the only other little small piece of information about the recalc.
That's a big piece, so that's good. Thanks for the heads up. Anybody have any questions about the recalc? That was recorded.
Mhm.
I watched.
Yeah, if you wanna
Me
see it on TV, you can look at it again.
Yeah, it was a very long discussion about the presentation.
Very
And
well.
I have to say kudos to Jenna for putting together the draft. on it.
Yes, it was
It
great.
was excellent. It had everything in it that needed to be in it. I would love to see it posted like that, just for historical reasons. Because it has everything all in one place. Wonderful presentation.
And I can share it with everyone on the COA.
Yeah. Would you
Could see
do,
it.
would you do that?
Sure, yeah. Then you guys could give me your comments. Marilyn gave me some comments. Nancy gave me some comments.
Yeah,
And
it was.
A couple people from Recalc,
Yeah.
and then I know that there were some edits. So I think you guys are gonna take some here, right?
Yeah, there was a long discussion.
Very long discussion. Very circular.
Yeah. So,
Circular, I like that.
any other questions?
Kind of went around the table saying the same thing.
No. Okay. Board of Health, Maryland, what's
Yeah.
happening with that?
And again, it's not health survey, it's
I
CHIP.
know.
CHIP, Community Health Improvement Plan. They have a public meeting coming up and I didn't bring my calendar, so I don't have the date in front of me, but
I think it's the
Next-
25th.
it sounds right. And they will be sharing, last time I looked, they had not yet posted on the town calendar the draft of it, but they said they were going to. I would hope they would, because how are
What
people
type of
gonna-
draft are you talking about? Putting up,
There's a community health improvement plan that the Board of Health has been working on for a long time, a year almost.
Board of Health, they talking about
It's-
replacing a lease?
Replacing
Any-
what? No,
last
no,
time-
no. This is like town-wide, how do you make Reading a healthy community?
By having a nurse.
Well, that's a piece, but it's a little piece. They're looking at everything, like what diseases are prevalent, what services are,
That's-
it's
we're
a
gonna
piece.
dive there. That's never.
It's a piece. Anyway, they're having a,
We move it to close up.
May 20th? May 20th, they're having a public hearing on it
Oh, that's.
next week,
Yeah.
soon. It's a
the
night we've got
same
to count.
day as the,
I know, I'm gonna have to be two places at once if I'm gonna go to it, but,
yeah.
or I have half an hour to
Unless
do
it's
this.
earlier.
It's later, it's at 7, I think.
Oh,
It's at
okay.
7.
So if we can only talk for 30 minutes, right?
So that would work.
Yeah, anyway, I found it really interesting and I found it to be a very collaborative discussion that's been going on among lots of the departments in the town and there's lots of emphasis on the town needing a way to build community kind of engagement and participate. I think the senior center, community center, whatever we're calling it, fits nicely into what they're trying to accomplish. So,
Talk a little bit more about that, because you have an interesting take on that, if you would.
well, they found in many ways through focus groups, through their survey, through talking to the department heads and so forth, that it's sort of a common, one of 3 major common themes had to do with community. I don't have the words in front of me, I'm sorry, but you have them nicely on your slide. But community participation in something that builds community and engagement is an important requirement for a healthy community. Is that too vague to mean anything? But a community center fits right into this conversation.
For emotional health.
For
Yeah,
emotional-
so you're spot on. So I just pulled up my PowerPoint. I got a new laptop, so now all of my documents actually live on my computer. So I can pull them up. So one of the top 3 initiatives were preventative health screenings and treatment services,
Mhm.
which we do those currently at the center,
Mhm.
as well as different areas in the town. Healthy environments and inclusive programs, so supporting creation and promotion of healthy places, spaces, and programs for people of all ages and abilities. Increase opportunity for community connections and supportive services for those in need of support. Build resilience among youth and young adults to foster well-being and belonging. And the last one was healthy eating and active living. Increase healthy behaviors across the lifespan by making the healthy choice the easy choice. So those were like the top 3 health needs and goals that are identified, but then they dive a little bit deeper into the report on how do we get there. So yeah, a lot of them really aligned with the priorities of ReCal.
Absolutely. And the priorities of elder services in the Pleasant Street Center. So,
Good. So that's good that we were involved in that.
Really good.
Anything more?
no,
Karen Janowski is not here, but she did send me a little blurb. Since I can't attend the meeting tonight, I will share the sweat update. The sweat presentation to the select board was given on May 7th. And if anybody wants to go out, it's all recorded, so you can watch it. It was recommended next steps were given in the presentation. COA members were provided the presentation in previous emails.
I think I sent it out.
Yeah,
140 pages.
no,
they couldn't have done that at a select board meeting.
Well, the thing that I got the email in when I went to print it was 140 pages.
Oh, I think I just sent the PowerPoint.
that's all I got was the PowerPoint.
Well, I printed 140 pages down at the senior center. I didn't use by it.
That's what it's there for.
And that's what I'm gonna do when I'm working at the post tomorrow, is read those 140 pages.
Okay,
The post won't be very busy.
don't say that.
Don't say that, it is. So then she says, it's up to the select board to act on the next steps. They have no additional meetings scheduled and will sunset in June unless asked to continue by the select board. And if I remember correctly, and Jenna chime in here, I think there were basically like 4 recommendations. And one of those recommendations was a community/senior center at Simon's Way. They talked about, open space and dog parks and pickleball, but they also talked about community center and then possibly building more as needed. So it seemed to be a pretty,
Did they mention a different location for a community center?
no.
Just the one down by Burbank, that's it.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the only thing they were given to do. I mean, it's the
Right.
Simon's Way Committee, so all we're doing is
yeah.
studying Simon's
Yeah.
Way.
Good point. So, Karen is not here yet?
She texted me and she can't get online from where she is. So
Oh,
she'll
okay.
update you with anything that she has later today or tonight, Nancy.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Yep.
So let's move on to work group reports. I think that there were really just two. Well, actually, there's three, but I kind of put that down below. Newspaper outreach, and then RCTV and the rolling screens. And then we have to talk about event planning. So those were kind of the three portfolios. So if you would like to talk a bit about.
Sure. Didn't write draft on all of these.
Newspaper.
Draft. Draft. Gotta get a stamp. Either that or put it on the heading. Draft. I think that's all I have to write draft on. All right, Karen Janowski and I have been working on another letter to the editor. I will read it aloud because those who are on screen can't see it. Here it is. Title is Facts About the Proposed Draft. Facts about the Pleasant Street Center. We need much more space. Dear editor, the Pleasant Street Center building is inadequate for the growing needs of Reading's 60-plus community. Much more space is needed. Here's why. First bullet, Reading's 60-plus population now makes up almost a third of Reading's total population, and it's rapidly growing. Now 7,760, up more than 50% since 2010. Next bullet, the building is too small. Senior centers in towns of similar size, and I need to double check and pick the right communities, but we've heard this many times, range from 12,000 to 15,000 square feet. The Pleasant Street Center has only about 4,000 square feet. Consequently, program registration in Reading often fills within hours of posting, and waiting lists are long, if not futile. Third bullet, accessibility is limited. For example, program rooms challenge wheelchair navigation. The kitchen doesn't meet ADA requirements. The entry is easily congested. The first floor has no restroom. Fourth bullet, the building was retrofitted and all of the following elements needed for a contemporary senior center are missing. A lobby, a waiting area, staff offices, areas for private conversations regarding health or social services, a commercial kitchen, dedicated group exercise space, program rooms that accommodate more than a dozen or so participants, a communal dining area that can handle twice the number that can be seated now, spaces to socialize over a cup of coffee, and storage space. Fifth bullet, not enough parking spaces. And then it goes out of bullets, just a text. We need much more space to adequately meet the needs of Reading's 60-plus population. Please send comments, questions to our email address. Thoughts?
I would change in the first sentence, leave out much more, put additional. And do the same thing.
I'm sorry, what was
The
that?
word additional, I would use the word additional.
Where?
Phrase in first sentence.
Oh,
You have much more space, and you also go down at the bottom.
Much more additional.
space. I would eliminate that. And then the first bullet.
Yeah.
Have, parentheses now, 7,760, up more than 50% since 2010.
yeah,
The period should go on the outside of the parentheses.
okay.
Then I would put, instead of about 4,000 square feet, do we know how much we actually have?
I don't know, do we know how much we actually, every time we ask, they say it's roughly
It's all
4,000.
like a
Yeah,
little
I think
different
it is
because some.
4,000. That would be a
I
couple
would
days.
say about.
Instead of the word about, say approximate.
Say approximately. Are we comfortable saying approximately? That's what I've heard at the meetings. Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just a small thing, but if you're doing anything like this, Newton is a huge, huge town.
Yeah, I know.
compared to Reading.
yeah, no, that's why I wanna come up with better or more accurate examples.
Can we somehow say where it says dedicated group exercise? Um, something about safety in there. In other words, some of the feedback that we're getting now makes it seem like, oh, they just want a nice place, or
Mhm, yeah,
they, you
yeah.
know, it's the country club
Yeah,
or
yeah.
senior centers or whatever.
Good point.
And so kind of a
With age-friendly safety features, how's that?
What?
Age-friendly safety.
Yeah, because right now, when you walk into the building, you can go right up the stairs and no one would even see you from the lobby. Like our administrative assistant can't really see anybody.
Yeah.
right,
But also there's the
That's
whole
also-
issue of not being cushioned flooring and things like that too.
yeah,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
Do we like the phrase with age-friendly safety features?
Sounds good to me.
All right, we're
like
up. Pardon me? You like
I
it?
said, I like that.
Okay, I just warn you all, right now it's at about 248 words and 250 is my limit. So every time I put one of these little goodies in, something else gets shrunk. In fact, that actually had a thing in parentheses about the flooring and stuff, and I had to scratch it, but good point, good point.
Can we put something in there about the reception desk interferes with ongoing activities in the area?
I don't think I can fit it, Rosemary.
Okay,
I've got that we don't have a lobby, and that would be part of what would be in a lobby, that's where normally you'd have a reception desk.
the fourth bullet at the end, after storage space period,
Outside the parenthesis?
yeah.
Okay,
I would take out spaces to socialize over a cup of coffee.
I think that's absolutely essential for us to have. We've had this argument
I
before.
don't
I
think so.
think you have to think about who's
Reading this.
reading this,
Yeah,
and.
How about just
you-
spaces to socialize?
how about
You can
just,
go to Nero's to socialize.
That's not in the Pleasant Street Center. This is what's missing.
No,
from this.
I'm playing the.
I know. I think it's really important because it's really a huge piece of why we
I do
need this.
too.
I see, I
Yeah.
don't.
And that's-
Because someone on the outside reading that is gonna say, why? There has to be,
want my-
there has to be a different wording there.
All right, I'll take it out and use it to squeeze in age-friendly safety.
It is a project priority for the Recal Center,
That is true.
socialization.
Yeah, it's really,
Well, I wouldn't
it's the
keep a cup of coffee in there. I would
Yeah,
just
maybe that's. get rid of-
socialize area. I wouldn't keep over a cup of coffee, no,
Or, and
Is this to foster socialization,
to encourage
encourage
Yes.
or enhance.
spaces to enhance. How about promote?
Mhm.
How about what?
Promote socialization, socializing rather. All right,
And at the bottom, we need much more space. I think again, adequate, additional space,
okay,
something there has to be reworked.
Or just take out the word much. We need more space
We
to
do.
adequately meet the needs of Reading's 60+ population.
I think it's really more, to go from 4,000 to 12,000 is huge. I think it's much more space is needed, and I think that's an important message to try to start to get across. To me, that's the most striking thing. Sometimes you realize things as you write them or as you say them. It's like, my God, we have 4,000 and they have 12 to 15. I mean, it's like, of
Right.
course, we don't have enough room to do what others do.
And also what I've been hearing too is like, oh, well, how many seniors currently go to the center?
Yeah,
And a lot of the data supports that when you do build a new center,
it doubles.
that, yeah, that it like sometimes more than doubles
Yeah.
Situate. I don't know what the percentage was, but it was even higher than double, I think.
Yeah,
So that's something to consider too, that we do need space.
we do. We need to
It
be,
also- It also doesn't take into account people that don't go there because it's too small or they don't feel comfortable because of the inadequacies. So they're
Right.
not factored in anywhere.
right.
Yeah, right.
All of which, and those things were all in my head when I was doing this, but it got to be, it requires a lot of
Right.
explaining for them to understand. So I think
Yeah.
it's a whole separate letter.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
This is great.
What if you put adequate meeting space required or needed for the need, for adequate meeting space required for the needs of the Reading 60+ population
where would you put that?
at the end?
Where, oh, down here?
Where it
Last
says
sentence?
we need more space.
We need more space. We're taking,
I would take out the word we.
well, it's gotta say something.
The town.
There,
Our
the
town,
town.
That's two
Our-
words.
How about the?
That's
how
two
about the
words, not
60
one.
How about the 60+ community?
Now it's 4 words.
Our town.
Reading needs,
Yep,
Reading needs.
Yeah, but what does Reading need? The seniors need it.
Well, Reading as a whole
but
needs
that's
it.
part of Reading.
It's just
And-
like,
And that's one of the things, somehow we've got to get people to think larger and
it's just like schools. None of us are gonna go to the New Killen School, but the town needs it. And I mean, that my personal opinion is it's something a town has to have is good schools. So the fact that I'm not gonna go, I have no children, I have no grandchildren, no one in my bloodline is going to benefit from that, and I'm gonna pay more taxes. And bravo, we need good schools, so it's the same thing with the senior center. It's essential for lots of seniors, not all of them. And not all children for the schools. A lot of them go to private
I have
schools.
trouble with the word we.
So Reading, take out
so
we,
just say Reading.
Reading. But then you had a
How
whole
about-
string that came out.
How about going back to what Jean said? In order to adequately meet the needs of Reading senior, of Reading 60+ population, Reading must blah, 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 blah. Reading must
Must expand.
must expand. In order to adequately meet the needs.
Of the present and future 60+ population. The needs of the present, of the needs of our present and future 60+ population.
I like the word future in there.
Where I sort of glossed over that in other
Yeah.
spots was simply to say our growing 60+ population.
But this is at the end and this is
Yeah.
enforcing
All right,
the
okay,
above bullets.
okay. Again,
Let's
word
face it,
count. They
let's
won't
get
take it if it's over 250. They'll say no, or they'll edit it at their own discretion.
How about the town or Reading must meet this challenge
Oh, I like that.
For
That's
present
good.
and future.
for present and future
Needs
needs
Of the
the
60.
Reading
the
60+ population.
community.
residents that live in Reading. I've said Reading twice now.
Reading must meet this challenge.
Or how about this challenge must, no, keep that.
I can still
I
say,
don't know, read it again.
all I got down was Reading must meet this challenge, and then you started kind of,
For today's 60+, for today's and tomorrow's 60+ population. let's face it, this is gonna be for the next generation. We're all
How about-
gone.
Yeah.
Not me, I'm living to 150.
How
You too,
about
Rosa.
start either with the town or with Reading, and then you can
And.
change those words, so. You know, if you say Reading must blah, 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 for the 60+ town residents. In other words, these aren't people that coming in off the street. These are Reading resident taxpayers,
Right.
Yeah,
right?
all right.
Yes and no. There's a lot of people now at the center from other towns.
But that doesn't make our participation less. That just means they're there too, and that's great for them, but we're not catering to them, but our own residents are also growing and going more.
Oh,
So
we are growing, for sure.
I know.
Yeah, so read it again.
The town must meet this challenge for today's and tomorrow's Reading 60+. We'll get Readings in towns 3 times, residents. I think it's enough to just say the town must meet this challenge,
I
personally.
do too.
I think we should stop there. I mean, the whole thing is Reading 60+,
Yeah.
Reading 60+,
Yeah.
Reading 60+. If they didn't get it, it's not gonna matter. All right, how about
Must meet this
the
challenge.
town must meet this challenge, period.
Yep, the town must meet this challenge.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, my guess is we're still over the 250, but I'll work with
Well,
it.
either that or maybe take the heading.
But I don't think that counts in the 250.
Okay.
I'm not sure dear editor counts, but it may. I don't want to get it cut that close.
The very top heading you're talking about, Jean, is that gonna be something that would be part of the whole?
It would be a-
Because
it would
we have
be a-
much more space.
It would say LTE : and then have that title, I believe is how they're done.
Yeah, so I just read on one of those pages, if you don't include this title in there, then they make one up for you.
Yeah.
That might not be
What you
what
want.
you want it to read.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And when you submit it, they always say they've got the right to edit it. You've got no control over that either. They could say, yeah, that doesn't mean it to me. It shouldn't say accessibility is limited, and they get to change it if
Or
they
you
want.
could put it, why Reading needs a new Reading site, new Reading Senior Center. Just put that with a question mark.
Well, there are lots of this is focusing on the space discussion. There are lots of other reasons. I mean, there could be another whole one about what is the social impact of a senior center and the
Well,
value to
that's a
health.
different topic.
I know it
Right
is.
now, we're
But
talking
that's all
about
part-
building.
I know.
Space, we're talking about space.
All right. Do we not like the
Space.
title? Let's go there.
No, I like the space, I like
I
it.
see, I don't.
Not, we need much more space and maybe additional space.
How can much more not be additional?
Hmm?
How, if you have much more, how is that not additional? What is it?
Well, it
you
is
see
additional,
different?
I just like the wording better.
You like the
We
way
need additional space to meet our present needs and future needs, but you're not gonna put all that in there.
How about, we need more space, and here's why.
That's good.
Oh, that's good, Nancy.
and here's
That's
why.
good.
Here's why. Karen's not here tonight, but no, it's a title, no colon. Karen's not here, but she was sending me edits from the plane. We've been going back and forth this afternoon. Anyway, so how about I take out the facts about and just say the Pleasant Street Center, we need more space and here why, or additional space, and here's why. My problem with additional is it sounds like you could put a little addition on it and that would fix it. It won't.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a
Additional,
good point.
additional.
And that's why I said much more. I mean, 4,000 versus 12,000 is huge. That's like tripling it. You know, imagine the building being 3 stories taller if they went up. I mean, it's a lot of space.
Yep,
All
all
right,
right, I like it.
all right.
We
We need a vote. We need a motion.
need a motion.
Can we get the motion to, and only if you guys are comfortable with it, but can we have a motion to accept that with final edits at Karen and my discretion or something like that?
Yes,
Okay, so we don't have to bring it back to the meeting again, and I'll stick to what you're all asking for.
what she said.
Who wants to
I'm
move it?
second what she said.
Second,
Okay,
Need to vote.
so Karen Panett,
yes.
Jim Coco? Yes.
Joan, you're on mute.
Yes,
Marilyn?
Yes.
And Jean Prado?
Yes,
John Parsons?
Yes,
Nancy Zimlak, yes, and Rose Marie.
Yes.
All right.
next time Joan unmutes, let's ask her what the score is in the song.
Yeah, geez, did you guys know out there?
I think it doesn't tip off at 7:30, I think.
Well, that may be true, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, let's move on to the rolling screen. And it's quite exciting what Nora and Jean have accomplished.
well,
Who is also a college student. I joined.
Oh,
What?
I
but I have to go pick up my son, so I'm
Oh.
leaving you off,
Okay,
Oh,
okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Joan.
good thing you stayed elevated.
Yep. Otherwise we'd be sub quorum.
Say yes to drivers. Say yes.
Okay, so.
well, we're actually, the May newsletter is presently on RCTV.
Pleasanton?
Yes. That's right. Don't mind me, I've been in several meetings
I
today.
understand.
Mhm.
Great progress moving forward. I highly suggest going forward, we continue as a Council on Aging Board to be interactive with the high school internship going forward for next year. I did speak with a guidance counselor, and they're going to be having a survey and suggestions from those people, businesses that have been working with the interns. And personally, my thought was for them to start this program perhaps October, November of the senior year. So the student can gradually go into their internship. And because I'm finding, or we found, as well as the student, that at the end of the year, they're getting ready for finals, they're graduating, they're doing tours at the various colleges and confirming their acceptance. So you can see the stress level, but our student Audrey has been phenomenal. Very upfront of creating or requesting any suggestions. So it is on RCTV, April is and May is. We're trying to get a soundtrack in the back of it. And we have learned that the process is 2 times. When they say 2 times, it's for the screen to go at a slower pace so someone can read a certain page twice, especially if they're taking notes. So we are working on music, etc., but a lot of that is, it might say free on the internet that you can use it, but then you have to sign a license. So we're going to be working going forward with RCTV on that. And we have, as of today, a new student, a junior. This was brought up back about a month ago when one of the principals approached me that there is a potential of having a junior going forward. So we're not going to have to wait until next year's new intern comes in.
Oh, good.
We did, Nora and I and Audrey, the present senior intern, met with this young man, Brandon, and he's very excited. And we mentioned to him, and Audrey developed a tutorial so he can see how to go with the process that she's created. And they're going to be meeting together to review it. So he's up to speed. And waiting to hear and speak with the guiding counselors because she graduates. As of this Friday is her last internship day. She graduates in about 2 weeks. So this young man has mentioned that he does not mind going through the summer with us.
Wow.
Because he's going to check, he can get through honor recognition for doing community service, etc. So they are now reviewing this and we're going to be in contact. And so I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
That's great.
And there is on RCT, is this it, Nancy? The schedule for RCTV, and I did confirm with Rob, it is the same schedule as it was in April. And I really, and the other thing is she's working and Brandon has looked, and he's a graphic designer. So they're creating a possible logo for Council on Aging. We have a couple of tweaks. When nothing is set, we'll have samples and everybody needs to vote on it. But we do we've received a few different versions for Council on Aging logo. And there is a possibility going forward, and he became very excited when someone brought up maybe the Council on Aging could have their own website.
We would love to.
So I'll keep you posted.
All right. This little thing I put together really quickly. And what would be fabulous is if you go to our CTV, and I have it up here, you're gonna have to put your reading glasses on. It's rctv.org. And you'll come to this screen. And what you want to do is you want to click on programming. And from there, you're going to get a menu that says there are 3 different channels, and you want, depending on if you have Comcast or Verizon, channel 9 if you have Comcast, or 31 if you have Verizon. It's the public schedule. And when you click on that, what pops up is their TV guide. So the TV guide pops up, and you are just going to scroll through and you're going to look for the Pleasant Street Center. It's I don't want to give too much away because I want everybody to see if you can do it without too much help. But there are 2 items. If for example, from 3:30 to 3:36, it says the Pleasant Street Center May calendar plays. And then at 3:36, the Pleasant Street Center May event calendar plays. And then it just repeats itself after that. I have some thoughts about how to make that a little bit clearer. What we'd like people to do is go and try this. You've got to look for a time that you're available, that you can watch this and just see what you think as the screen scrolls by. Is 2 readings too long? Is it long enough? Does it need to be shorter? I didn't say one way or the other.
Yeah, I know she already told me it's too slow.
What
But
difference?
we have to understand, this is a new endeavor. These are students that they're learning, we're learning, and they have, personally, they'll say to me, what do you think, Jean? And I'll give my suggestions, do this or do that. but they feel very strongly, they're the creator of this. So we have to go gradual.
So if everybody gives this a try, it's
Okay.
out there now, it's working.
Okay.
And be prepared to provide some feedback. Yeah, it's great just the way it is, or
Mhm.
I think you should do X, Y, Z.
So if I click on channel 9, because I have Comcast, I'm gonna see this, right?
I don't have Comcast, so that's what you should.
Well, if I click any one
It
of
should
them,
have, it should have.
I'm gonna see this list
should
of
have,
times,
yeah.
but then how do I actually see what's there?
You have to scroll down.
Nancy, this might be a good, a little.
Yeah, you have
program
to
with-
scroll down.
No, it's the center.
So for example,
Click what's ever on at 7:30.
yes, so at 7:30, you are going to go to channel 33
Right,
or channel 9. And you are going to see the scrolling screen.
this screen? No,
Mhm.
the
No,
schedule.
This is,
Where
this
am I
is
gonna
like the
see the
TV
schedule?
guide.
Yeah, where am I gonna see the TV guide?
This is it.
This piece of paper?
No,
No, on
no,
screen.
Oh, so see the very top here?
Yeah,
You have to go to rctv.org.
yeah, program.
Then this menu will show, and then you press on your channel, channel 9 or
right,
channel
right.
31. And when you do that, this is gonna show up.
Right, but then how do I see whatever is in the May calendar? Where is that gonna show up?
It'll.
The actual calendar.
It's just gonna pop up,
It's
right?
gonna pop up.
It's gonna pop up?
It's gonna be the
No,
scrolling.
I must have to
Right,
click
no,
on it or
right, no,
something.
no, you don't. In other words, this is the schedule. Like
Yeah.
if you were reading the old, remember the old TV guides?
Yes.
Yeah.
You used to open that page, oh, at 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
this show is on. So this is basically telling you at 3:36, the Pleasant Street Center May event calendar is gonna be on.
But where?
On the channel.
You
On the channel.
So I'm not gonna see this list. I'll try it. Right
Okay.
now I see
you'll
two
just-
things. I
You'll
see
just
the
click
menu,
on channel.
See the actual
You
thing.
can't, you have to look at the menu
I get the menu.
because you have to figure out the time. If you clicked on the menu at 7:50, if you went and it's 7:54
Yeah.
now, what you would see is something called Around Reading.
But so I have to click on that?
No, no.
All right,
We just
yeah, I'll try it. I'll try it.
So,
I'll try
so
it.
it tells you what time to go back when you want to turn the TV on to that channel. That's what will be playing on your screen.
Or you can
This is
just,
an old TV guide on
I
the screen.
understand
So if
that.
you were on channel, so say you had Comcast and you're on channel 9,
Yeah,
and say you tune into channel 9 at 3:30,
yeah,
the Pleasant Street May calendar should be up. And then if you stayed on that channel, again at 3:36,
okay.
the event calendar would pop up.
Okay, so,
And then at 3:50, the May calendar. So you're just
Okay,
on, it's
but this
gonna be
menu,
on that
but this
station.
menu, do I see that on the programming page?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, that's what like.
Programming
So
page.
There's two separate pages, there's the
correct.
programming page and there's this. Well, that's on the TV. I got it, I think.
got it.
I'll try it, I'll try it.
No, but this is good.
Yeah.
I just quickly made this. It
Yeah.
took me a couple minutes
Yeah,
to make
okay.
this. Cause I just want everybody to get an understanding of how you get there.
Okay.
So that everybody can look at it and everybody can look at the screens and have a voice in what we want
Okay.
this to look at. Because
Wow.
the high school kids are very great, but we are their bosses.
Yes, and let
Yeah.
me touch on that. We have to remember that a lot of them have not been in the business workplace.
Mhm,
This is a process for them,
mhm.
and you have to go on a gradual basis. They are learning also
Yeah.
what to do.
Mhm.
Now, they are also willing to do, and I will talk with Chris on this if need be, all the flyers, they can design and graph those and then Chris can print them out while you're shaking.
Yeah, oh.
Which
Chris can
flyers?
print them out.
What flyers, the monthly
What flyers?
pleasantry?
Not the monthly flyers, you know how
Like an event.
an
or-
event
Oh,
is
of the
coming
things
up
that Chris
type of thing.
emails.
Yeah, big
But
one.
I really appreciate everyone's input, but I cannot be on overload because I have been at weekly meetings with these back and forth at text, even 11 o'clock at night. Because they have to put in this particular segment of the intern has to put so many hours a week in. And I am sent to look at their timesheet.
Oh, you have to sign off on it.
I don't have to sign off on it just to verify.
Okay.
Like a student today was concerned. I mean, here's ending her senior year. Can I get my hours in? I said, you absolutely can. We're at a meeting for an hour. You're working in the business field. You put that in.
Yes.
So we have to go gradually. It isn't that
Yeah.
I don't appreciate everyone's input, but I just don't want someone to become discouraged with too much negativity.
Yeah.
Right. So people need to take a look at it, see if it works for them. If you have some friends at the center, tell them about it and see if it works for them. Because if it doesn't work for people, then.
It's basically like a TV guide.
Right.
You go there and you just see what's coming up. That's
Right.
all
I
it
think we
is.
all did that by now.
Yes.
It's the same thing's been said 20 times.
Yeah, and I think, Jean, what you had said too originally about this was that a lot of seniors do have this on in the background all the time,
Mhm.
right? So that's why you wanted more visibility on RCTV in general. So even if they didn't look at the guide, if they have it on in the background, it's gonna pop up multiple times
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
these times, so that would be good, even if you didn't even look at it.
Well, the other thing we were thinking about is maybe a bookmark. And it could, say from like 3 to 4, 5 o'clock, whatever it is. On Wednesdays, you can see it.
But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
see, that is true. But again, pending on what my understanding, what the station has going, if they're having 2 programs coming, they might have a 4-minute segment in between one official program and the next, and that's where they put us in.
Got it.
So I'm hesitant about printing out a bookmark because that time frame can change.
Mm.
And I'm not arguing with you, but we've gotta test the waters
When we
here.
test the waters, we can do a flyer.
No, you gotta test, they've gotta go on and take a look at it and see if it works.
But it looks great.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
this is,
I
this is
like
awesome.
Yeah.
Good visibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's
Really
good for
good.
the seniors or general people in town that they might not be in town to pick up the pleasantry.
Right.
So we'll see.
Maybe Audrey would even volunteer after she graduates. Yeah.
Well, she's going into the business field and so isn't the young man.
Good.
But like I mentioned to them, and I said this to Audrey and also to a possible new student. I said, with a council on aging, I would suggest that you go on to the internet and type in National Council on Aging for their purpose of what we service. So when they decide to do a logo, they have some thought behind of what we advocate for.
I would take the Reading Town site because it's very clearly stated there.
Well, he knows, I've told him,
Okay.
we told him.
And ours is not necessarily absolutely consistent with the national one, so
Well,
yeah.
certainly very
they have to do
similar.
their research to
Okay.
develop.
All right.
Yeah. So kudos.
Yes.
Kudos. It was a lot of work.
Yes.
It was
It's
a
been
lot of
exciting.
Mhm.
I
am.
can see you like working with the
Oh,
students.
I was in the schools before, but for me to see the children, how
Excited.
they created something.
Mhm.
And every person that creates
Yeah.
has a different thought, how to present.
Mhm.
And it's exciting.
They created something of value.
And it's on
Fine.
television. And the internet.
I think that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Good, I
Yeah.
do too. So shall we, Chris is not here, but
Yeah, he said that he's probably not gonna make it
Okay.
earlier,
Okay,
so I can
Do
just
you
jump in.
wing it.
okay.
Sure, I'll wing it. So I was here for multiple events, that Chris had listed. I was there for the intergenerational program with Sally Ride. I was there for the Illusionist on April 18th. And kudos to Anna for coordinating all of these awesome programs. We also just had the Mother's Day Tea in May, which is not an April event, but that was tremendous. We had a harpist playing and all that. So just amazing programs going on. Social services is very busy. Obviously, we still don't have that, a nurse replacement as of right now, but we are going to be combining our public health nurse with, going to be a health and elder services shared position. So they'll have office hours at the senior center and they'll also be at the town hall. So Aday and Chris and I are all working collaboratively
Great.
on that position because the health nurse just isn't getting paid enough.
Yeah.
They can't find someone who's qualified enough. And so combining that position and giving it a little boost will help us get someone really qualified, hopefully.
Great.
You're gonna combine that with what?
So it's gonna be health department and elder and human services. It's gonna
So
be a
the
shared
town health-
position.
The town health department is going to service the center, the people at the center.
Yep, so the public health nurse will be a shared position, so the majority of the hours will be here, and then on Fridays, they'll have office hours at the senior center. But they'll be available at any time, so anyone in the population can call them.
Jenna, wasn't that done like that years ago?
I don't know, that's a great question.
I think it might have been.
Yeah,
It's gonna be there one day.
yes, at the senior center one day.
Is
But
it-
then obviously they'll be coordinating the programs like the blood pressure clinics, the eye screenings, all of those, going to all of the different home visits. They'll be going to all of the different senior communities like Elise used to do. So they will be having a certain amount of hours that they're dedicating solely to the senior population, not in addition to being there on Fridays.
So why can't they be there more than just Fridays? Why can't they be there half the time on Friday and half the time in town hall?
Yeah, I mean, it's something new. This is something that Chris and Aday kind of met and talked about the hours that would be needed. So if we find that there's a need that seniors would like more office hours, I'm sure that that's something that Aday and Chris can chat about.
Because
So-
Friday, the center is only
That's
open
right.
till noon.
Yeah, that's
Right,
So
right.
maybe they could do Friday, 8:30 to noon, and then another day during the week.
In the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think
And maybe
everything
we were
is
just lucky with Elise, but Elise was always there for medical consultation.
Mhm.
right,
So it would be nice if you had it more than just one morning a week.
right. And,
Well, what
and
does the person do at town hall? Maybe the office can be moved to the center.
well,
Yeah,
the
we-
primary.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Supervisor will
People,
the person's primary supervisor will be Aday. So that person will be reporting directly to Aday, not Chris. So it would have to be just a conversation, and I think it's gonna be an ongoing conversation and something that can be flexible as time goes on and we figure out what we need and if there is a new center and things like that.
But Jenna, where it's going to be a new procedure of not having their own nurse at the center,
Mhm.
maybe what John said, maybe we should start half a day in the morning and like Nancy said, another half a day, say on a Monday or a Tuesday in the afternoon.
Yep, I can mention that to Chris and Aday tomorrow.
Mm.
but my point is, what does the nurse do here at town hall? Why can't she relocate to the Pleasant Street Center and be there when seniors are there, like Elise was, when she would be needed? And then put the day back here.
So I think too, there's like me, right? So I don't have an office over there, but I'm over there a lot. And I can sit over there on certain days of the week if I wanted to, which I've thought about doing. So, it's the same thing. So even though I'm not over there, if someone was over there and needed me, I could be called and I could be there in 5 minutes.
But a medical situation, you need the person at that time, not
Well,
waiting.
like
for them to
an
come.
emergency
Yeah.
situation, or, well, that's when you would call the police or something like that. But if someone needed their blood pressure taken and they called over to the town hall and the nurse was sitting at her desk and, not too busy at that time, or she could say, hey, like, can you come over here in 15 minutes? I'm just finishing up on a Zoom call or whatever. Or, oh yeah, I don't mind scooting over there and taking a quick walk. And I think that's what we're gonna be going over in the interview process too, is that flexibility and that willingness to help and be collaborative. And I think with that health survey, that's kind of where a lot of this stemmed from too, because we realized that we were doing a lot of things in silos. The nurse here was doing a lot of the same things that Elise was doing, and they weren't communicating. So
I was at the center within the last week when a woman
She fell.
lost her balance, was gonna fall. So there wasn't anybody on site to take care of her, so they had to call the fire department, the ambulance, the police department. What does that cost the town? And
Well-
how many, we should keep a log of how often that happens.
well, and I know that one of the events I was there for, a St. Patrick's Day event, something similar happened. Someone fell and Elise was there and we still called the police. Because we always call the police and the fire if someone falls and says that they're dizzy or, can't get up, can't get help getting off the ground. It's the same thing in the town hall. If someone fell in the town hall, we would call.
But
One of the points I'm trying to make is if you hire somebody and you tell them their job is 1 day here and 4 there, and you want to change it later, you might have problems with that person saying, well, that's not part of the contract I had coming in here. That's why I'm suggesting maybe this should be thought out a little bit before and balance the where they're gonna be
And
before.
that's a good point, John, because the other thing is too, the seniors, to them, well, I'll just, in my mind, possibly think they've lost an advocate, they've lost
Absolutely.
someone. So if you're only going to put them in there for 4 hours on a Friday, I strongly suggest 4 hours on a morning shift and then afternoon.
Okay, yeah,
So this way, and then if it's not needed, it's easier to pull away.
sure.
Why don't you just say that the time will be split between the senior center and town hall and leave it kind of open
Yeah.
and then navigate
As
Where-
needed, yeah.
seems to the needs are or how it works out and not pigeonhole yourself into any particular schedule unless you have to, Jenna.
Yeah, I think,
That's what my friend-
From,
that's in it.
yeah, that's a good point. No, I think from a financial standpoint too, there's a certain amount of money that is allotted through health and a certain amount that's gonna be allotted through elder and human services too.
So we're
Right,
paying a
that's-
smaller part
So
of it.
we're paying a smaller part of the overall pie. So again, I think this is a really good collaboration. I really do. I think the communication is gonna be a lot better. I think that we're gonna be working on the same initiatives together with our health assessment and hopefully the potential new senior center / community center. And I think these are really great suggestions and I'll bring them up to Chris in a day tomorrow and maybe we can start with like that additional afternoon and just be transparent about that with the person that is interviewed, like, hey, this is a new process for us and you may have to have more office hours at the senior center. You may have to have more office hours here. Like this is gonna be a really flexible position. We need you to do home visits. It's gonna be very transparent, but very open and someone's gonna have to know that in advance and they will. We'll be very honest.
So when the nurse was here, did people come to see her to ask questions?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they would go, they would, ask questions about certain medicines or get their blood pressure checked. There's only so much Elise could advise on, obviously, because she's not their doctor. But she definitely had a lot of really extensive knowledge and.
No,
Right,
no,
but the
I
Board
was
of Health
talking about
nurse.
Oh, the Board of Health nurse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the nurse here what Elise did at the center.
So she had people walking in and asking her
Yep.
questions.
Yep, that nurse would also get calls.
Schools, what did
Yep.
you say so?
They would collaborate with the schools, they would collaborate with Elise on the flu clinics.
Would they make home visits?
I assume so. I don't know how many.
Elise and Carrie make home visits.
Right, I'm not sure how many folks who are under the age of 60 are isolated and need that home visit.
Carrie could tell.
Yeah, Carrie could probably tell me, and that's all like confidential information, so I don't really know or ask, but that's a good question too, that I could ask a day and say, hey, how many home visits is the nurse doing
Just keep
here?
in mind also that Friday is has the least activities at the center.
Yeah, people are least likely to go there.
Well, there's one class in the morning, and as far as I know, that's it.
I think
Well,
that
and
makes
it's fridge and is best.
and that's it, and after
Those are the two
10
things.
o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only 3.5 hours,
Right.
it's not even 4.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, and obviously anyone can call and make an appointment with this new person, just like they would do with Elise too. Say, hey, Elise, I want to come in tomorrow and get my blood pressure taken at this time. And that senior could easily come here, and then go to the center too. Because a lot of the time someone would just pop in to see just Elise or just see Carrie. So they'll have that capability to do that here.
Do you have an outline of exactly what Elise used to do so that
Mhm.
you would present it to a new person?
Yep, we actually looked at Elisa's job description and a list that she left behind. And we had a list of the current health nurse. We also, our human resources director was kind enough to reach out to some other towns that had similar positions, because actually not a lot of towns have a nurse that is specifically towards seniors. So he just did some research for us and we came up with a collaborative job description for this new position.
Now, Jenna, is there anything, once this individual is hired, that you can have a intro at the senior center? In other words, have the new nurse
Oh, of
come?
course. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Coffee hour or
something
something.
like that.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
We have the medical open house coming up, the health fair.
Yep, next week. Yep.
No, 2 days from now.
Oh, yeah, May 15th.
Wednesday.
Yeah, this Wednesday. Yeah,
Yeah, from 10 to 11:30, 10 to 12, one or the other.
yeah. We haven't hired the nurse yet. It won't be until July 1
Mhm.
that someone's gonna be hired, so.
While we're asking you questions, could I ask you a question in a different vein? On the ARPA funds, are there some that are just dedicated to elder services?
Can we save that question when we look at the ARPA funds chart?
I thought, well,
This is
still more, okay, whatever. I think it's more pertinent to the elder services report than it is to the ARPA funds, but maybe not. And I'm not needing to have a question, she just answers this one question.
okay.
Are there funds that are just there for ARPA, for elder services?
It,
No, they
for
took them
ARPA?
into it.
Wait a minute, I just,
No.
one person at a time, please.
No, there's a designated amount of funds for seniors only. And those are used for the seniors and the programming only.
And how much of that 900,000 has been earmarked?
So there, if you'll look on the report, I think I put the remaining amount, didn't I on there? If not, oh, hold on.
But I think it's been used for other things, so look what Matt just said.
Just let me keep going on the thing that I'm going on before we get sidetracked.
So, hold on, let me pull up my spread. It's a whole new world I'm in now because I have my documents here. Hold on a sec. I can pull it up.
I probably don't even need that figure to say the next thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
So
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
What I'm getting at is if there are a certain amount of funds that are there earmarked for elder services. Yeah, and if elder services earmarks where those funds are going, does that mean that somebody couldn't take them, do a test?
You're back to
Well,
Mark's,
that's-
And
yeah.
what, do a test?
Like,
Mark's thing with the soil
That's
testing.
what, yeah.
Oh, no,
like say there's 40,000 left and say, okay, we're gonna,
No, I
we're gonna
get,
dedicate 40 to this,
I
20 to
get
this,
you.
20 to that.
there
All
was,
the all the funds are designated, so there's nothing left for someone else to take.
so there was 600,000 of the 900 that was designated just for elder and human services. There was 300,000 of that 900,000 that was designated for the feasibility study. One of the things that Jenna and Chris have been doing for the last 6 months is putting the remaining unexpended ARPA money into, you've encumbered the money.
Yes,
And once it's encumbered, it can't be used for anything.
yes. So right now,
Be taken for, testing at times way.
Well,
So-
I don't know how much is
yeah,
left.
so right now, I think there's around, when I looked at the percentage used was 76% when I sent out this report, and there was, when I sent out the report to Chris, it did have the amount that was remaining in the percent. And I can send that out tomorrow. I think it was like in the $200,000 range, that was left. And that is with the encumbered funds for, we encumbered the trips, in the amount of $55,000. We, are currently encumbering the $25,000 around about maybe 20 for the meals, our Monday community meals. And we encumbered around 60,000 for accessibility improvements and virtual improvements to the center. So that includes a hearing loop, a brand new projector screen, which actually just blew out a couple weeks ago. So thankfully we have a backup from the library, but we're getting a new system in June. So and these were all funds that were really encumbered and what we put in our update, our ARPA update. So with all of those funds being encumbered after the meals, we'll have around $200,000 left. So
Is there some way we can keep that 200 from anybody else getting their hands on it?
Mhm.
well, yeah, and that's the goal, right? So the goal is to, at the end of the year, see how much we have remaining for programming, right? Or for other initiatives that we have and say, okay, well, we can encumber another year of trips with that. We can encumber another year of meals with that. So we just have to go back and see what we can use to tie it up with.
So,
So my suggestion is something like that should be done so we can protect those funds as much as
yes,
possible.
yes, sooner rather than later, so we.
Oh, yeah, no, we
can't
know.
Wait till December or November 24, that's not what you're talking about, right? It's gonna happen.
It has
so
to be
by-
encumbered by the end of 2024.
No, but it,
Calendar year or fiscal year?
It has to be encumbered by the end of this year,
right,
Calendar or
right?
fiscal.
But Mark is looking. at those
Calendar.
funds
but
now.
Mark is
Yeah.
already looking at maybe taking 10,000 and
Yes.
people here are
Right.
saying, oh, it's probably gonna be more than that.
Yes.
No,
So-
well, we have the quote. So that is pretty accurate what he said about the 8 to 10,000, because I've seen the quote too. But I don't think that's outlandish if that's an ask.
No, but.
So
Why
so
are we
I guess-
taking it? That's my
So,
question.
wait a minute, so
But-
I think John has a valid point here. In that if it's expected that there's 200,000 that is not gonna be encumbered. Let's encumber it
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Well,
By
no,
the
well,
end of
yeah.
the end of August.
Yeah, we're
If
not,
sooner.
yeah, we're not gonna do that only because we have a bunch of other programs that have to be paid for until the end of the year as well that are coming out of that fund. So there'll,
Doesn't that mean it's
That
encumbered?
doesn't-
no. So for example, if we have a speaker coming in September, say we have 5 events in September and we're spending X amount on all of those vendors. Like we would have to figure out what we're paying for programming from every single vendor until the end of the year, which we have a spreadsheet. But, so my point is that I think that by the end of the year, we'll get there.
But
okay,
he's
but-
talking
but-
about getting money out of it now.
but.
I know, but
can I
8,000
tell you-
is really not as, it's not as much as you guys are like making it out to
No,
be, I don't
Can
think.
I tell you
But-
that you are gonna get a lot of pushback from the Council on Aging
Yeah,
if money for that testing is taken out of the money that was budgeted to fund programs.
Yeah.
You're
right.
gonna get a lot of
Right.
pushback.
And I'm not
Both
trying
of-
to, I'm not trying to like justify
Mhm.
spending the 8,000 out of the ARPA funds. However, if you are spending it with the intention that it could expedite a potential site and move the project forward,
If it was just the senior center, but it's not.
It's not, it's a community.
It's a community center.
Yes.
And
Which-
that's,
And, you know, we're focusing on, you know, Mark and his comment about the testing. I'm thinking about, could somebody else be out there
Exactly.
that would say, hey, they got the funds for this?
Yeah.
And I mean, just my
Exactly.
final thing would be to you and Chris is, please spend as much of that as you can, as fast as you can.
I'll get it on paper.
yeah, I mean, trust me, I've been,
Fix the.
we have been working
Yeah,
really, really hard
That should be
on,
good, huh?
on doing all of these projects.
yeah, that's true.
And we're doing a tremendous job encumbering
No,
these funds.
I know you are, but this is.
I mean, if the
This is
concern is people trying to take it away, I wouldn't be concerned about that. If this is concerning you, the $8,000, then that's fine,
It's
but,
an opening.
but no one
They
else
dip
is,
into it.
no one else is dipping.
No, they'll dip into it.
Well,
Like John
no,
says,
no
so-
one else said that until 2 weeks ago. So who's to say that in 4 weeks,
Mhm.
someone else can't say, well, geez, you know, we spent the $8,000, but now we need another
Can,
$10,000 for more testing.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope.
Where'd the $11,000 come from to pay for the chimney liners at the center? Was that ARPA funds?
No, that came out of the regular Elder and Human Services budget.
So
Which is another thing that didn't make sense, because that's an operating budget, not a, not a,
It just.
a
that
facilities
doesn't make
budget,
sense
but-
either.
Yeah.
So,
So that's all I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I interrupted your sequence there, so if you
Well-
wanna move on, it's fine with me now.
no, I
still
think
say-
that money should be protected.
Yes,
It
it
has to be for the people.
well, that's what Rosemary was questioning when it was brought up.
Yeah.
yeah.
I still say it's part of the feasibility contract, but anyway.
Well, you would think it would
You
be.
would think it would be out of $250,000.
You'd
You'd
think-
think they would
you'd
have
think it-
an essential test to be part of their process, but anyway,
Okay, but again, as I said, I wasn't just focusing on that, I was focusing on other possibilities.
yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to move on to, Nancy?
No,
Or-
I mean, what other possibilities? I mean, to spend it,
Yeah, I mean, of, you know,
No, I
you
think.
know, some other, the selectmen saying, well, we need some money here, well, take it out of there.
Cause it's a lot of money.
Killen bounces up as we need to make it, do a test, let's pull it out. Elder
No,
Services.
I think that what bothers me is it just because the word senior is in there. Why isn't this coming out of somewhere from a town budget where it's for overall
Mm.
basically
Community.
residents?
Hmm. Good
Yeah.
point.
I mean, it's why the chimney liners came out, why we spent $10,000.
Well, that wasn't out of ARPA, but
No, but it was out of Elder
It's still-
Services operating
It's
budget.
out of your budget. And why we spent $10,000 out of ARPA for that stove, you know, I
That's
mean,
another
that
point.
is
That came
like,
from ARPA, $10,000?
Mhm.
yeah.
I think it was 8,000.
Whatever.
We saved too.
We've.
Well,
But-
anyways.
But we do consider that a programming element because we've done the cooking class out of there now and we're able to heat our meals up in there and keep our meals warm. And we serve our meals out of there. We have multiple people who are now Serve Safe because of that. Chris and our volunteer coordinator. So,
And Jenna, I think you're right, because if I remember correctly, we had mentioned going forward with the programs for cooking classes, et
Mhm.
cetera. So I think that's why this new.
So
Yeah,
we were
so-
awarded 900,000, 300,000.
No, we were awarded
Six.
six.
Was the 300,000 spent, the 300,000 taken off the 9? Was that all spent?
I'm sorry, for what?
We were
The
originally awarded
feasibility.
the,
Oh, the feasibility study?
yeah, did you spend all that money?
So it's all encumbered right now with BH plus A. So.
$300,000.
So it hasn't, so encumbered means that, so the most current contract with BH plus A is 250,000. If you look at the ARPA report, it will tell you every month how much we're paying the architect out of that 250,000. But the bottom line of the remaining funds already calculates that total amount of the feasibility study. Because it's encumbered.
So the feasibility study costs $300,000.
No, 250
Right.
for BH
but-
plus A.
but There was 300,000
Mm.
allocated for the feasibility. So there's 50,000.
No,
No, that was
no,
already
because
spent.
that was already spent with the
Yeah.
Walgreens and all of that.
So
So.
shouldn't
Um,
this,
That had nothing to-
should this back to that 10,000, should this testing dollar amount be included in the BH&A?
I think so. That's
So I think
maybe
right
it's
now,
Out of your operating budget.
not an operating expense.
No,
yeah, right now it's,
Well.
if you look at the current-
Liners,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it came out at
No.
EH&S,
No.
so.
no.
So I think in the
I'm
next
being
phase,
Mhm.
Sarcastic.
right? So in the next phase, technically, if you picked Simon's Way, right? And that was a site.
Mhm.
You could do this in the next phase. You could do all of the testing in the next phase and you can encumber it in the next phase once like you hire an OPM and create the permanent building committee and all of that. But I think the issue that a lot of folks are circling around is, well, we want to know before we select the site.
Right.
Which is very valuable.
Which is
to
So-
know.
very valid.
So it's out of the site of the current feasibility study.
But it should not be.
Because it's an extra testing.
600,000 that's
Yeah.
allocated to.
Right, and I understand what you're saying with that.
All right, let's,
Plus, one last thing, plus you mentioned the OPM, because that will be someone who's hired. Where will that money come out of?
That will have to go to town meeting.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Because that could be something that could
So-
suck out of us too, if they saw an opportunity.
So
That'd be-
maybe on this
Yeah.
report, you said you were gonna put some totals down here, but
Yeah,
I went in and parsed this out. And I see 2 feasibility costs on here. So it would be very helpful if, and I think we've asked this before, if you separate what is going towards the feasibility study and what's left of the balance on there. And what is going to pay for elder and human services and what is the balance left on that portion of money.
okay.
And if it would be helpful to also know, or maybe it's just a.
Well, because the
like-
feasibility money is done. Because it's already encumbered. So you
there's
want to
nothing
know
else
out of the
on-
250,000, how much we've already paid BH plus A? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so really it shouldn't be on here. We don't, I mean, that's separate from,
You're asking for.
Well, it's coming out of the same account.
Yeah, it's all coming out of ARPA.
600.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you want a subtotal for what's going to programming and a subtotal for what's going to the feasibility study.
Separate accounts.
Well, it's one account, the way they're doing it, but
Yeah.
we know it's
Yeah.
just,
I
it's
know.
committed and for 2 purposes.
Yeah, do they go into the 600,000?
No.
You can't because they're under, it's a contract.
Yeah.
It's a contract and all of the money is encumbered. So the 250 is encumbered. Hold on, I can actually go into my Munis account and tell you how much money is remaining in the balance right now. What a different world. Having my computer. It's great. Okay, let me search the
Well,
account.
who's doing that? Who can help on Friends and Family Day, June 8th?
I'll help you.
I can help.
Okay,
I think I can.
okay. and I will help.
So
Anybody
there,
else?
I'm a question mark.
You're a question mark. Karen, are you
I'm a
around?
question mark
Okay,
for the 8th.
okay.
Even part of the day, everybody, because it's a long day, you know, we can do
Are we
shifts.
doing any kind of a pass out at the health fair?
We could do the
If you want to do the dog finish,
Yeah, why not? You have a lot of them.
yeah, and that's a good thing if you've got arthritis, it really helps.
Thank you for coming. Come and try some of the programs here.
Mhm.
You know that
I've already stapled them all to the flyer.
I've
that
got a
we
whole,
had.
I've got a whole book.
Oh, we have a box.
Yeah,
of
she's
them.
got a ton of them too.
There's a,
You have more?
no, but you should have a box.
I do, and I've stapled them to all the flyers that people didn't see.
500 of them?
I have a whole half bag, shopping bag
okay.
full of them as well.
Okay.
I don't know how many, but I've got a
No,
significant.
but I
shopping bag
sat
full.
there through several television sets and stapled
So what did you staple them to?
to that fact sheet that we were giving
And it
out.
was nice that Karen did.
Yeah,
But I've got at least a half shopping bag
And I
full.
think I have some.
When's the health fair?
Yeah.
When is the health?
Wednesday, I
Wednesday.
think.
Wednesday. I could bring
Well,
the
the only
rest of them off.
thing is the room filled up with the,
Well, we could stand at the door. Hi, have a good time, visit all the different booths, and here's a little
yeah,
fact sheet about,
that's what you'd probably have to do.
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
But then we're gonna need items. I think we should pass them out on June 8th too.
Well, we can save my bag. for-
500.
Well,
No, I
we
don't know.
don't have, we ordered 500. We've given quite a few away.
I probably have well over 100 left.
Okay,
The thing
And they're
about
not
it is,
stable
the
days.
kids come up and take everything and.
I know.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
the Friends of Reading 60+ group's also gonna be there.
Yeah.
So
At the health fair
are we,
or June 8th.
are we gonna
Or both.
have a tent? Are we gonna have a tent, Jenna?
Yes,
Well,
a tent, a table and chairs.
Yay.
Okay.
I think in the past, maybe they haven't given enough chairs because a
Yeah.
lot of you end up
Sometimes we
going.
bring them.
Really comfortable. So we're gonna have a tent. The Council on Aging is gonna have a tent. Is the Friends gonna have a tent, or do I have to bring my tent? Because they're not,
Yeah, they're not technically a town entity.
Right.
Yeah.
so I can bring my tent.
That would be nice
for
if you-
them. And then as long as we're gonna have a tent. Okay.
What is the date on that? Is that the one up by the high school?
Yeah.
June 8th.
Nice.
And don't forget, June 1st, we don't have Karen here. And I know we're skipping all around the agenda,
Mhm.
but
Well, I can update the June 1st because I met with Karen Fatino.
okay,
in that. So the plan is it's 9:30 to 11:30 on the 1st. And that we're gonna pare down at least the offering, so it would be basically water and coffee. Jenna, do you have like a big percolator at the senior center?
Yes, there is
Yeah.
one.
All right, because we figured that we would make the coffee that way to save money and in case nobody shows up or if we have a lot of people show up. So that was the plan, and then we'll figure out cream and sugar and that kind of thing. We still want to do the sign up sheets when people come in so that we have sort of an idea of who's come through. The handouts that Nancy has stapled, all of the million handouts. We really like the ambassadors, John upstairs and Marilyn was downstairs, so that when people go up or down, they're greeted by somebody and, can have questions answered or an explanation. The other one is probably for this one, we'd like either someone in the foyer, like right by the stairs when people come in, and direct them in to sign up, to fill out a sign up and then kind of send them off or whatever, or maybe even outdoors, depending on the weather and street traffic, for that particular day. And then Karen Fatino sent me a message that she's also going to recap what we did. She's going to send it to Nancy Zimlack in order to send it out to the council itself. So the other question was, who's available on that Saturday morning? So that we just kind of have an idea of who from the council will be there, and then we'll figure out. she dropped off to me. So she's going to be in Italy, I believe that. So I have some of the stuff that she had, napkins, coffee cups, and coordinate. And I think if she hasn't already talked to you, Jean, she was going to talk to you about picking up, I think just the coffee cakes, not do the donuts and all that kind of stuff, just coffee cakes that we can slice into pieces and have those available for
Well,
any, along with the coffee and water.
I'll speak to her on that because I think the coffee cakes end up being more expensive. But
Okay.
that's my thought. And
Yep.
we had talked possibly about getting granola bars.
Yes.
So
Figure something more low key, because I don't think, I mean, I'm hoping the volume is more. I mean, we've increased from the first one to the second one. Hopefully this one will have more, but I don't think the draw is whether we're having coffee, water, or,
No.
donuts or crumb
No.
cake or whatever.
Right.
So it's a nicety and it looks nice, but I don't think that needs to be our prime focus.
So who can be here?
Give us all the dates, Nancy has.
I think I can, but I.
So this one is June 1st.
June 1st.
now, Karen, I will pick up a
Yeah.
couple of extra of the table coverings because we had
Okay.
to dispose of a few.
Yep.
I think I can come, Nancy. My calendar's at home, but it's Saturday, so it's probably fine.
Okay.
So is Karen going to be calling me to tell me what she wants for refreshment or not?
Yeah, she said she'll get in touch with you. She's at a
Oh.
retreat for the
Oh.
next 3 days.
Mm.
And then I want to say maybe Thursday she was leaving for Italy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know. She told me.
And I'm not sure if everyone got my email on the reimbursements.
Well, that's my.
Yes, we got that.
Yeah, so if you are gonna be having reoccurring reimbursements, then you need to submit a W-9 to the town so we can set you up as a vendor.
So I should not be buying anything then.
No, so
Unless I donated.
Something that we used to do, like for the birthday cakes, is we would just approve $300 for a Market Basket gift card. And what they did was they passed the
Right,
card
they did.
from one person to whoever was picking it up for Jane, because someone always volunteered to pick it up, and we'd just hand the card around. And I think it got around a lot of problems. Don't know.
That's a good idea.
I don't know if that's like a best practice. I
Right.
think the best thing to do is tell me what you need and I will go buy it with the P card.
That
For you.
sounds good.
Because it's not that big of a deal if Chris or I just go and like pick you up orange juice and coffee cakes or whatever you need. And then we'll reimburse back to whatever account, Burbank or
That's
whatever it is.
All right. So we can work on that because it's
Yeah.
basically a can of coffee if we're going to make coffee
Right.
in-house. Probably maybe another case of water. I don't know how much was left in the COA cabinet down.
Well, it kind of got left out on the counter, so we'll.
All right. So maybe, a case of water and then whether we do coffee cakes, granola bars or whatever. So we could
Okay,
let
we'll
you know,
figure it
Jenna.
out.
Sure.
I mean, it would be one stop at Market Basket and just run in and get the creamer,
Yeah. And even
So
if
we'll
I need to
open
go
that.
and buy it and get reimbursed myself and pay for it out of the Burbank, that's fine and just easier
Okay.
for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't
accounting
think you're
purposes.
gonna be here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I guess, Chris, you up? Oh, Chris, no, I know someone will be able
We'll
to
figure
help.
it out, Jenna. Just let me know.
Yeah,
Even if you have a gift, I'll run and do it.
yeah, I'm sure that
I mean,
Chris
if I can
runs
just
out
get-
all the time anyways, to Market Basket and all that, so running and getting some coffee and water for this, I don't think he'll mind.
They could get coffee and water way in advance.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we have. There's a big thing of coffee and I can go take.
An issue with the W-9s too could be if we're being viewed as vendors, does that mean we'd get tax statements as your income as vendors? It's gonna really screw up our income taxes for
Yeah.
the sake of
Yeah.
$15. We don't want
Did I make it? Did I make it?
Because we're really not
Like close
vendors.
to $300?
Okay, so
Okay.
let me
Get
go back
2.3?
to the volunteers. We
Yeah.
have Nancy, Marilyn Shapley as definites.
Me, Karen Pinette as
This is
definite.
June.
First.
June 1st.
Put me down, I have to check my calendar.
Okay,
Yeah, you
Rosemary,
can put me down.
Only 1 point difference.
okay.
Third
And I'm
quarter,
paying that.
64 to 63.
Oh my God, really?
Oh, you're there, okay.
They have to win.
Okay, so we have
I
1,
can't take the stress.
3, 4, 5. Who's this one? I don't know.
It's tough to read you on writing, huh?
We have 5 right here, so.
Maybe,
Probably
yeah.
better if you don't have a
So
quorum.
we've got 5. What?
Probably
What?
better if you don't have a quorum here.
For at the open house, you mean?
Yeah. So,
05 is fine.
Yeah.
We've always had the quorum. Haven't we?
no,
No,
no.
Oh, I think we did.
Okay, so we've got 5 for the open house.
Yep.
And
4.
let me go back
Post it.
to Friends and Family Day, which I think is like
We did.
10 to 3 on June 8th. Who can go to that
I
one?
can go.
I'm 99% sure I can, so put me down as a yes.
Okay, Joan.
Nancy, on June 8th, are we doing a basket or anything?
No,
Okay.
what I was thinking was, I was thinking, go to BJ's. I know it's not Market Basket,
Mhm.
but you go to BJ's, you get a gigantic bag or box of popcorn.
Mhm.
And then we stick our logo
Hmm.
on it and we could give it out. The baskets were a bad idea.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Do we have to be safe served to bring?
Yeah, you can't,
No,
you
not-
can't package
no.
unless they're individual bags
Yeah.
already.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, if it's like smart food popcorn and you put the COA sticker on it.
yeah.
yeah.
I don't
do
think
that.
that's what she's talking about.
No, it is.
You're talking about, so it's a package within a package.
It's
Yeah.
individual packages, great big bundle.
So you go to BJ's and you buy like a gigantic carton that has 100.
How are you gonna pay for
Individual.
that?
I'll pay for it. I don't care.
We can get it. We can get it too. The other thing that you did last year was those rubber things, so you could do something like that too.
I mean, the jar.
If we got them from 4imprint, like if you wanted
Jar opener.
ends,
Oh, yeah,
or-
we could order more stuff.
we could order more
Yeah.
stuff on that website for you guys.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea.
Well,
If
And
that's-
so I-
Make sure
There's a
that-
vote to spend more money on here, isn't there?
Actually, we
Yeah,
need a bit
there
to
is.
spend more money.
I'm gonna do that, we have to do it quickly because June 8th isn't all that far away.
Yeah, they're pretty quick
They'll
turnaround,
Turn around about a week and a half.
as long as they do it tomorrow.
Now,
Oh, we could-
now Karen, I know we've jumped back and forth between June 1st and June 2nd,
8.
but 8th, but I think we've established the fact that we have enough people that have volunteered for both days. And for the open house, we have the jar openers and they're already attached
Well, not
Yes.
all,
flyer,
not all. of
so
them.
we can use that.
Yeah,
And so just take the ones that and if someone is gonna be, I'm not gonna be at the fair on the 15th, but
fair on the 15th.
the
The
health,
8th. Oh,
That's this
tomorrow.
week.
health fair,
The one that's this week.
the one that's this week. So if you wanna just drop off those COA things
I can
and
drop those up.
and give them out.
I won't be able to be there that day.
Yeah, I can't be there either.
Yeah,
I'll be there, I can hand out some while I'm there.
Okay. Okay, so we've got that. Food for water and coffee. right?
We'll figure out a list between Jean and Karen and this Karen, and then we'll let Jenna know. And if she can't get it, we'll get it.
Okay. Good. So,
Yeah, as long as if it's by next Thursday,
yeah,
we're good.
But who's counting days?
You can freeze coffee
Again,
cakes.
it's not a lot that we're
Yeah.
asking for.
oh, but what about advertising for this, though?
For which one? All of
This
them?
coming
June
up, what are we
1st.
doing?
June first.
Could you just edit the last flyer?
And put a June first
Change
date
the
on
date?
it.
Yeah, and could you send it out this time? Because last time either you or Chris or whoever didn't end up doing a blast on it.
Oh, yeah, because it was just town.
It was last minute and it was town meeting till the last minute. Yeah, but now we know we want
it's
anyone,
everyone.
right? Yes, if we could do the rec and elder services blast lists and
Yeah.
blast them.
Yeah,
And put it on the town website
yep.
as an event.
And maybe get the police to do it on their flashing sign. They did it. They did it.
Pride parade's the same day, so that might already be on there.
3:00.
Right,
No.
but I don't know if there are gonna be on the flashing board.
Okay, they did it when we did one of the community forums way back from
That'd be
Recal.
awesome. We can.
And there were different signs. There was one on the square that was something else in the town, but there was another one down by the donut shop that was us. I remember I was driving
Yeah, you
by.
can definitely reach out to them and see if they
What
can.
do we do? Just call the police?
Yeah,
Not 911.
that is just like the non-emergency line.
1212,
Okay,
9421212 is the non-emergency.
Yes.
I'll do it. I
That's a
volunteer to
great-
call the
that's a
police.
Great
Yeah,
idea.
that's a good idea.
Have you seen it, Joe?
Get the flashing sign on town common.
So Jenna, you'll send out, how many individuals did that go to?
I think rec has over 6,000 families and I don't know how many Elders Human Services has.
I think Chris said around 800.
800.
800 is what he said, yeah.
600.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So Karen, you're gonna send her the.
I'll
invite?
I think Karen Fatino had the original, so I'll see what, just to update the date on it. We'll just use the same one, but just
Yeah,
the time and date on it.
Great.
perfect. I'll go on the Facebook pages and keep posting them on the Facebook pages. So what about the schools? Can
We had mentioned that. last
yeah,
time.
Oh, yeah, I think that was me. Yeah, I could reach out to the superintendent's office and see if they can get something up for us.
That'd be nice.
And when's a good time to, I mean, if we could get it out by next Monday? Or do you wanna wait?
And wait,
uh,
you're doing too much in advance, you forget about it.
Yeah,
So we're
yeah.
closer, but then the week before is Memorial Day weekend,
Yeah, and high school
and you won't be.
graduation.
see, I would,
Graduation's the 31st.
I mean, you have to start on the 20th, no later than the 20th.
Mm.
Because June 1st, that gives us 2 weeks. And,
Mhm.
Right.
you know, yeah, so I don't think it can be any later than the 20th. To blast that out. Because June 1st is the following Saturday. So. Otherwise.
I do it the Monday before.
That's Memorial Day.
mm,
Okay, so I'll do it the Tuesday before. I mean, really, I want to.
But Jenna won't be here.
Okay. I can have someone else in rec do it.
But
Delegate,
not
delegate.
everybody's tired like us.
Well, do you
So
think
some
we could,
people have to know in advance and put it on their calendar.
could we do one May 20th?
Yeah.
And then do a reminder
Yep,
the Tuesday after Memorial Day?
yep, that's a great idea.
How's that?
Yep.
With everything going on in town,
Mhm.
I think a reminder would be great.
Yeah,
What do you think, Nancy?
Yeah, and we could stand up at the Killam thing and say, and don't forget, everybody, we have an open house for our senior/community center.
I think that,
It would be nice if we could get a name for that thing, like Center for Active Living or something, and settle
Well,
it, just
we
anyway.
we
never,
need a decision.
Yeah, I know, there's no decisions have been made on any, well, no formal decisions. There are people whose minds may have been made up for quite a while, but it's different.
I mean, active living center is not a bad,
I'm fine with it personally. Anyway, it's another whole discussion, separate discussion.
all right.
This would simplify a little piece of this thing.
Vote to become a member of RCTV. This was
What
something
does
that
that involve?
Jean Prado suggested because it gives us special privileges for
Well,
posting.
we were at a meeting and we discussed become individual like myself. I want to become a member of RCTV. I want to support them.
Mhm.
But then there's also an organizational membership.
And this is
And
like
it's like
several.
$100, right?
And I believe it was annual, was $100.
I make a motion,
I
Yeah.
propose we don't, well, I propose we do 100
yeah,
for the annual. But RCTV, I think, has been very good to this senior center, whether coming down and helping us with our video. Is there any way we can do an annual and then maybe make an additional dollar amount to that?
I would say in the next 3 minutes, if you wanna, let's make a motion, let's do first, let's just make a motion for the Council on Aging to join as an organization to the RCTV at the cost of $100
Okay.
out of Burbank.
Okay,
I second it.
All in favor?
Wait, discussion. Are we allowed to do that? Or is that us supporting an organization?
No, we're allowed to do
How
that.
do you know this? Because Nancy wants to move
Because
on.
Nancy said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy said so isn't gonna wash. I mean, are there any
Who's
issues with
gonna
this?
vote for it and
I
who's
will.
not gonna vote
I'll
for
vote.
it?
I'm
Well,
voting.
I still think Marilyn's got a point about we should have a discussion.
Thank you.
All right,
Go ahead,
discuss.
John,
You've
discuss.
got 2 minutes.
What makes, well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, but do we have any idea? I mean, we don't support anything else with money. Are we allowed to?
I'm not sure.
I'm not
I don't
sure
know
either.
what you get from it. I don't know anything about it.
I don't
So I don't know.
Difference
You get
would it make
exposure,
whether
you get
we-
exposure.
Yeah, if we pay a PR firm $500.
That's hiring
versus-
somebody to do a contracted
And we're
service.
hiring. our-
We're not
We're not
hiring
hiring.
RCTV. We're
making
supporting them.
donations.
But they would be, we would be supporting them.
I
But
understand.
then if we wanted our PSC video that we made, we could say, could you please air that at a specific time?
I understand the leverage. I just don't just like we're not allowed to raise money, period, end of discussion. Are there any kinds of rules that say we cannot support something? I have no idea.
I have looked into it.
Yeah,
And from what I've looked into, there's no problem with us doing this.
where would one even look to look into it?
You'd have to ask town council.
Yes, you'd have to ask town council.
Well, I suppose that if it's on the agenda, you could vote for it
Uh-huh.
and then
Then if it's not
you
feasible,
can
we,
ask,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
town manager tomorrow, maybe.
Okay, because I know
Something.
they had really strong feelings about making sure they in no way were appearing to support us. I just want to make sure, A, it doesn't make them look like they're in some relationship with us that they
well.
shouldn't. And B, vice versa.
Let me backtrack here. Even if we cannot put our video on because of
Mhm.
voting issues, I think it is good as far as an organization supporting another group in town that, as we know, their funds are depleting. And we support them because they're here, RCTV.
That's
How
not
would people-
what, but our funds are to support elder services, not to support
are we
struggling
not-
organizations.
Are we not supporting elder services when we have on RCTV our newsletter?
Maybe, but it's getting, I just would like someone to say it's
Could we
fine.
vote on it, Jenna? And if there's legal issues, it's null and void, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I
So I
suppose.
amend the original one saying with approval from town council.
That would be all right.
Okay,
with
that
me.
sounds good.
That does sound good, yes.
I'm in favor of that.
Second, okay, all in favor, Karen, Mary.
Yes,
Jean,
Yes,
John,
Yes,
Rosemary, Nancy, yes.
And wait,
Okay.
what did we vote to, what's the dollar? We talked about 100,
$100,
just 100 flat, okay.
yeah.
okay.
And then if we want to donate more, we can
we'll
donate
do it after
more,
we get
but
the approval that
let's-
it's okay.
let's- Yeah.
Okay.
So how do we get council to weigh in?
I
I'll write
could,
them a letter.
yeah, yeah, I would just shoot Matt Cornelis a note.
Okay.
That's a
He
good
might
idea.
Just know,
That's a good idea.
and if you have the authority to donate like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And to be
Better
correct,
now,
we're
so then-
taking on a membership. We're not just donating, we're becoming members, just like with WGBH. If you wanted on the Channel 2 thing to become a member, you send them money, bingo, you're a member.
Mhm.
So that's what
Okay,
this is like.
okay, member.
That's my understanding of what this is, but I'm
It's not a
asking.
donation, it's to become a member of RC.
Well, that one goes both ways, because they write you a thing saying it's
A
of your donation. They acknowledge it as a
That's-
donation when they
that's
make
the
you a member, yeah,
Okay, so we've kind of gone all over the place.
yeah.
Do you want that final ARPA number before?
You found it.
You really want to give it to us?
Got it. So there's $210,299.22 remaining. And the percentage used is 72.86%. And that doesn't include the meals that are going to be encumbered. And we're hoping to do the next 2 years of meals, so that'll probably be around 40,000 coming out of that 210. And then we can also do another year of trips or programming out of that. So that would be another 55,000. So you can see how quickly
Mhm.
it could it will be encumbered.
Like,
So-
when, but can that be designated and confirmed, say, like by July or August? So going forward, there are
Or
no.
by the end of this fiscal year. Because.
Yeah, it will be by the end of
It's
the
too
fiscal
late,
year.
they'll be dipping into it.
No, they can't. It has to go to the select board if they reallocate it, and then you guys would be
Funds
fighting.
would come out of the ARPA funds.
Well, because it's different because the feasibility study is part of, there's been certain amounts designated to each thing,
Mhm.
but it's not like he's asking for the DPW to pave the highways with $8,000.
But he is asking
The
for
road.
something that's outside of what the
Yes.
designation was.
Yes.
And he's
Yeah.
probably thinking
It's
he
with.
doesn't have to
it's
go to
with
select board.
feasibility
because it's-
study, but it's
No, it's-
$8,000 over the original amount that was allotted to the feasibility study, which isn't that far of a reach, but
It's
it is a little bit up.
It is,
So-
it is.
Mhm.
And that's, you guys can,
And it's a slippery slope, just as John says, if it turns out that it has to be more, maybe this is the preliminaries, who
I
knows?
think it's an easy thing to take it out of the ARPA.
Mhm.
I want some more creative thinking
Yeah.
done
Right.
to find out where
Right.
it can come from within the existing town budget.
Mhm.
Because
It's a
this
town-
is, the liner should never have come out of EHS's budget for
Yeah.
that chimney.
Yeah,
And
And how do we get that money back? Can we
probably
get it
not.
back from
no, it's
somewhere?
gone.
It's
No,
gone.
So
yeah, it's-
there's the lesson.
It's,
There's the
yeah,
lesson right there.
Mhm.
but,
And if a certain person gets elected selectman, all the money will disappear.
We have to keep saying no.
all right, so, well, we had the shortest
No, we did.
EHS report, and we had a long ARPA update,
Mhm.
and we didn't really get into the trust funds, but we'll do that next time. We did the event open house, we've got volunteers for June 8th, we'll cobble something together for that. And, we're gonna see what our CTV membership buys us and if the town council agrees, and I
It's
think
time for John Parsons to make his statement.
yeah,
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second, and the Celtics are ahead, 78-74.
We have to vote.
The third quarter's almost done.
okay, all in favor, Karen,
Aye.
Marilyn.
Aye.
Jean, John Parsons, Rosemarie, Nancy, aye.
Adjourn.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Adjourn.